3, 2, 1. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I got a special guest with me, and his name is Micah.
What's going on, guys?
So the reason why I have Micah on the podcast today is he's a very deep thinker, and I connect to him a lot when it comes to, thinking very deeply about God or circumstances, things like that.
Yeah.
And so I thought it'd be very fun if we recorded us talking about some stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It could be very educational and beneficial to us both and everyone watching.
For sure.
I think we get through some stuff.
Yeah. So, tell me about your first time meditating and how you heard of it, and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, it was actually from this guy named Ezekiel. He kind of introduced it to me for the first time. And yeah, before that, I was a little skeptical. Just thought maybe it'd be closing our eyes in a room and wouldn't really feel a change or notice any changes. But upon actually doing it, I found it was it was such a clear-minded experience and such a relaxing experience. It felt like I'd just done an intense workout or a run or something.
Yeah. What the first time that we did it,
Mm-hmm.
was it after we worked out, or was it?
I think it was after a workout.
Yeah, because I think we're in the headspace of we were working out and then we would meditate after, because or at least what I was thinking about, the reason why I would meditate after is because my body would start cooling down, so I thought it'd be easier for my body to relax.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh cool, if you work out and meditate, maybe you can
I have
some deep states.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a lot easier after working out because you're already in that. I feel like you're already at peace already. You're already part of the way there. So it's really easy just to kind of fall into relaxation or no self or just detaching, whatever. Yeah.
Do you notice a difference when we meditate? Because when we meditated, we were in a group of people. Do you notice the difference between solo versus being around people?
It's hard to say. I think not really, honestly, because it's a very personal experience either way. I think I kind of just tune everyone else out in the room anyways when I was in a group. So I think it was still just as beneficial. Maybe even more when you're by yourself because there's no other distractions. But I feel like then there's no one else accountable. You can kind of just drift off. Maybe you attach onto a thought for too long or you fall asleep. So in a group, it kind of helps, honestly, as long as everyone's just, relaxed and there to do the same thing.
Yeah. When it comes to group, I notice, I get more focused.
Yeah.
Or when I meditate, it becomes more deeper a little bit.
Yeah, you're normally the one who had to guide them though, so probably not during those ones, right? But during the other ones, or even during those.
I guess it was so ingrained in my mind to where I was kind of just saying the stuff from autopilot. So when I was guiding it, it was kind of autopilot.
Okay.
So it wasn't
Yeah, I was worried it was taken away from your experience.
No, I wasn't completely awake when I was doing it. I was still kind of I was
You're still going deep in,
yeah. It was just saying the words, just allowing myself to fall into what I was saying, the experience of what I was saying too.
Yeah, it's just that second nature already. You'd already been doing it for a while before you brought it to the rest of us up in Altadena training.
Yeah, but you don't want to leak your address though.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. How long have we been doing it then? Or you've been doing it?
Over a year now then, because when the pandemic was first starting, right? I think or was it actually before that? I think it was around when it was first starting.
I can't even remember, dude.
Yeah.
It might have been towards the start.
I think it was when the pandemic was had already started. Maybe things were a little cooler. But yeah, then you would start coming to our house, and we would, our house, or my house. You're just there so often.
I got some stake in that property.
Yeah, pretty much. You do. Then you'd come up and we just either work out or just, we would. Too. Yeah, we would. Yeah, I think us two would work out first, and then we'd come back and do it as a group with everyone else. Or just us two?
How do we get everyone else on? Do you remember how it happened where it was it first me and you, or was it
Yeah, it was first us two, and then I think we brought Tim and maybe Jack into it. Whoever else was with us at the time, and when Matthias came by, that one
was interesting.
Yeah, I think yeah, he definitely got something out of it. As long as you have an open mind, I think, and they were all just willing to do it with us. So I think they just saw us doing it, or did we offer it to them? I don't know.
I think I suggested it after we work out because we did an ab workout that day.
Oh yeah.
And then
Oh yeah, that's what it was. We're doing a lot of ab workouts. That's what it was. Like every single time. Freaking abs.
Yeah. Yeah, when it was interesting because Matthias didn't really have a view of, it was not in his radar even about meditation.
Probably helped. Yeah, he didn't have any expectations going into it, I guess. Yeah, he said he saw stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, he saw some visuals and stuff, which is something that can happen naturally in meditation when you go pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had, have you had any when you're like by yourself and stuff?
I wouldn't even say by myself. Maybe I'm just too like not relaxed enough even then. Because when I do it by myself, I'm still conscious enough to the point where I'm gonna like turn off my phone like and take them out. Sometimes even like midway through, like I'm already like feeling I'm already like that relaxed or I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
But so I'm always kind of not that deep, I guess, or like, yeah, just I feel like when I was in groups when we talk about it after, then I've seen like some minor like visuals, I guess, but it's hard to tell if it's maybe just a change in light or not because we do them outside. Well, actually, no, we did do them inside a lot though, so it was kind of weird seeing like some like changes in light without any actual changes in light in the room. But yeah, it'd be weird that like light orbs or like dark or whatnot. But and then yeah, we just talk about it after, which was nice. But it's more for like at least me personally the feeling and like it's not so much the visuals, I think. But how many would you say you get like visual wise? Or the frequency of them from when you're meditating?
I don't have a necessary pattern around the visuals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they come, they just come and go.
Yeah.
Usually I think it's honestly when I'm in the state in which I'm tired, like bodily tired.
Mm-hmm.
It's to where I can just easily kind of like knock out, but there's still a little bit of like awareness there to like be able to, I don't know, lift off of my body or something like that, or like actually see something. But usually when I'm like half awake, half asleep, where it's kind of like a 50-50 of like dozing in and out, you're just like that. I'll see like some visuals which I can't explain.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily, I don't know what causes me going to half awake, half asleep most of the time.
But you know it's not your imagination or anything. Cause sometimes for me, like I notice my imagination is always firing thoughts and ideas and stuff. So sometimes it's hard to tell if maybe it's like a vivid imagination or not.
Yeah.
But for you could tell the difference. It's not like...
I think the difference to what you were saying is like when you have the vivid imagination, it's kind of like towards the back of your head. And when you start to have like the visuals, it's more like in the front of your head.
Right.
So...
You'd say you have to have your eyes closed though, right? Because I feel like the visuals are actually coming from your sight, kind of, or like...
I actually don't know.
Yeah. Have you had them when your eyes were open? Or...
No, I've never, but I know some people can get visions or stuff like that. See something is real in front of them.
That would be something, like just from being in a meditative state and all of a sudden, because I normally keep my eyes closed. During the last one we did, I did in the beginning have them open. I don't know if that was because I was uncomfortable or what, but I just preferred to have them open at the beginning.
The one right now?
Yeah, that we just did. Yeah. But then when he said like we should close our eyes now, I could kind of all right, now I'll close them. But even during that one though, I noticed my mind was still spitting a lot of thoughts out. And it was sometimes it's hard to like disidentify with them. Like all of a sudden my eyes are open. I'm like, wait a second, like, that means I identified with something. Like literally got my eyes to open. You know.
I imagine my mind kind of being like Eminem rapping Super. What is it?
Yeah.
Rap God.
Yeah, when he's just spitting.
Yeah.
That's the worst, I think, because you can disidentify from them, but it's just another one just comes up again. For me, it's kind of hard to still have a still mind. I think it was come over time.
Yeah, it happens over time.
But yeah, it's because sometimes you just latch onto the thoughts and then it's kind of time wasted because all of a sudden you're like, wait, I was just thinking about a whole like thought train. I'm supposed to be meditating here.
Yeah. Yeah. How long have I been doing it? I don't even know when I started to actually do it like every day, but like I'm usually an everyday kind of person. I had to take a break 2 days ago because I was in a state where I was just overwhelmed.
Yeah, you were saying you're having a...
I didn't even meditate that day.
Yeah.
But since I've been doing it every day, I've noticed a change in which, my thoughts are pretty quiet.
That's good.
And it's more of like, now I'm dealing with more of my emotional field now rather than like thoughts.
Yeah.
Usually my thoughts now come from deep-seated emotions from the past, or
I was about to say that. It's usually like sometimes for me it's the emotions that bring up the thoughts, kind of. Like maybe it's like a certain extreme feeling that's making me think. It kind of is, like, otherwise that thought wouldn't have popped up, but like that feeling is what's invoking it. Kinda, that specific thought.
I think there's also different levels too, because I think there's also telepathic, kind of like you get thoughts from other people, or you pick some thoughts up from other people.
Or feelings
or feelings too.
Yeah, sometimes even the thought too, I guess.
But, I mean, have you noticed when you're at work or something, you kind of sense the other person, what they're thinking, or
for sure,
their energy and stuff.
What they might say, or that kind of exactly. More of how they're feeling, I guess. I haven't gotten so good as to know what they're gonna say,
or like thoughts and stuff too.
Yeah, but you can you can kind of have the sense of what's gonna happen, and then they like kind of play into that, like they kind of stay or do what you thought might have happened. Like, that's kind of what I was feeling.
Did you experience that before meditation, or did you always have that sense?
Maybe I had it before, but without even noticing it. It was kind of just like an autopilot. You kind of like how the flow of a conversation goes. You can kind of tell. Maybe so it probably wasn't on that deep of a level, but I could maybe kind of pick up on how the other person was feeling. But now it's probably a lot sharper than it was before. It definitely feels a lot sharper. Like I'm kind of can tell how everyone's feeling. Sometimes it's not that good from like past mistakes, but like I can feel how that person's feeling, like the uncomfortableness or whatnot.
That's a cool thing you can develop in meditation. Like, it's kind of like a thing where I think when I started developing those abilities, it wasn't like I was setting out to be like, I'm gonna read people and like stuff like that.
That was not the intention.
It wasn't
for me.
Yeah.
It is weird how it does like pass into like other people in a way like that, like because it all started off with like working on ourselves and kind of like trying to get over overthinking or emotions, and but all of a sudden now we can like kind of sense the room or like what other people are feeling. It's kind of I guess we were able to do that in the past when we hung out. Like we kind of be like, all right, it's time to get out or something.
It's time to dip.
Yeah, so we kind of already could pick up on shit like that, but now I guess it's maybe even sooner. Like it's before it happens.
Yeah, you pick it up quicker.
Here it was like after the fact, or in the past it was after, and now it's kind of before.
Yeah,
seems like
that's the cool thing. I mean, it's just more sharper mentally and everything. There's a lot of things you can just learn by just being still. But
you can really carry a conversation. Like my parents are like, it's just hard to even have a decent conversation without like emotion completely taking over them or something. Like where all of a sudden like my dad would have an outburst or something, and it's like, well, where the hell did that like, it's just a normal conversation. All of a sudden like threats. It's like the no self definitely helps, like, or meditating helps you stay in like stay at that calmness, like at an inner center, and not get so thrown off like that. Because without it I probably would have ended up down a similar path. Like we're just not even realizing being guided by these untamed emotions.
His emotional field is projecting into yours, causing you to carry on his emotional field onto other areas.
Yeah, and I think it did probably come up from growing up. Like, we never would talk about any sort of emotion or anything growing up. So it probably did stem from just not acknowledging it, like that shadow. And so that shadow just comes in every time when I'm trying to have a conversation with him,
Yeah. Well, what's your definition of no self? Where have you seen it so far, like when you've been in the atmosphere? And no self, by the way, is kind of like a state you enter in when you meditate. But how do you describe that state for you?
How I describe it?
Yeah.
Well, like when you're getting into it, I feel like it starts off with not identifying with the thoughts that come up, or like giving them that much energy, and it comes from not like identifying with the body as well, like that's not actually you, and also how I've thought that was pretty key is like how everything in life still happens, even though you don't have to like think anything or like feel a certain way or force something to happen. Like everything still occurs. So you kind of just learn to not control everything. You kind of sit back it kind of gives you like a little extra barrier almost to kind of think if you're in it. Like you can kind of, you don't let the ego kind of react right away or something. And that was something too, is like getting rid of like the ego, or not identifying with that, or like constructs or self-images of yourself from the past, or like opinions kind of that, or viewpoints like that. So just like basically disidentifying from all of that and just realizing you're like that awareness that you can kind of, it's aware of everything, and you can move around. And I would say that is a definition, but
that's pretty good. That sounds pretty good.
Thank you. But it's easier said than done though to get to that point. Because a lot of times I get more like partially into it, and then maybe I attach to a thought or an urge comes up, and I do something else, and then I'm not in that state. But yeah, the key is like kind of carry that state everywhere.
Everywhere, every environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's crazy too, when you shift environments, there's different feelings, emotions, thoughts that you take up. Like you'll have a different thought pattern at work compared to at home.
Yeah.
Compared to when you're at the gym.
Yeah, exactly. It's different everywhere. It's crazy. And I guess no self is kind of keeping the same neutral outlook in a way.
Neutral, bland, like outlook towards
without saying it's neutral or bland or anything, because it could be like you're kind of more open to what's going to happen, I guess. You're just, and I would say like it's also like the martial artist thing, maintaining stillness in
action.
In action, or in a tight situation, whatever. Just keeping that stillness of thought.
Yeah, action, conversation. What else is there?
A fight.
A
party.
Party.
Yeah, keeping that.
A party, dude.
Yeah.
You just be
a no self there. Yeah.
Dude, if you're a no self, you should
be
just a vegetable. Just no, that's
maybe, but
probably not though.
Yeah, it depends. Like because it kind of gives you that free will, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe someone comes up to you at the party and says something, wants you to do something, and then it's like, Then you kind of get that extra second to see, do I really want to do that?
Yeah, you intuitively sense like, where does this choice lead me?
Or what do they actually want you to do? Like
you see their intentions. You can also read their intentions too. Things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes the ego might agree right away, like yeah, sure, let's do it. Or it might be hard to say no when you're in the ego.
Yeah.
That's something too. Because sometimes I notice when I'm in the ego, it's hard to say no in certain situations, or like say the hard truth sometimes. But
and also like when we talk about ego, we're basically talking about the individual expression of yourself, which involves the I thought. So when you say like, I'm gonna go here today, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go talk to this person here, or me, like the me thought, my thought, anything that individualizes you like that, you're kind of viewing it and observing it as the observer and letting it go. So when you talk about ego, it's just everything that's included with the I, me, mine, individual, like having to go out and get food for your body.
Yeah, or like I have to look a certain way.
I have to
act this way. Those constructs too.
It's all just an act.
Yeah, and so, I mean, that's when you were saying that. I just brought up like that memory stuff, because I feel like when you talk about experiences you had in the past, you just automatically say I did this and I went here and did that, which is kind of like bringing up an ego in a way, but it's a past ego and it's not even like who you actually are. So
yeah, we use it to communicate with people.
Yeah, simple communication, honestly.
Yeah, it helps you communicate, but a lot of people who haven't really awakened their sentience or like their awareness on a deeper level need to constantly have content or words, thoughts, things like that, to feel like they can exist and be in the present moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about memory too, it's like they need to keep bringing up memories, things like that, in order to kind of have a sense of self.
Yeah.
When in the no self, we're getting rid of the self, which is actually a pretty scary thing. But it's just a construct that your ego makes up in order to not let go, or to keep you trapped in some kind of illusion of self that isn't universal or connected to God, things like that.
Exactly, yeah.
But going back to like the memory thing, I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but what are you gonna bring up about it?
I feel like we kind of I feel like you kind of have to put yourself almost in the ego to like, or that you kind of have to like recognize there was a self in the past to like mention it, I guess. But I feel like it's not that big of a deal, because as long as you recognize that you weren't that person back then, it just kind of makes the memory almost like inaccurate, because it's like, was it the ego acting in that memory, or is it like the actual you doing those, you know? It probably was the ego in the past.
That's interesting, because you can definitely have your memories of certain things in the past, but then have a contracted view because you're in your ego.
Yeah.
So say for example, I had a memory of we're at the gym, so we have a memory. We were at the gym.
Right.
There was a lot going on, but we were more focused on what we were doing, and not really focused on what other people were doing.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have a sense of expandedness beyond just what we were doing. So we were more focused on our thoughts, our emotions, things like that, putting it into the workout. And so there was still, I guess, our thoughts became kind of like one in a sense, but it wasn't connected with everybody else's. So when you go back into the memory, you kind of remember us working out, what we did, but we don't really have a sense of, in our memory, what, you know, the people that are around us, the whole picture and things like that. So there's still some slight of individuality expressed through both of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you can kind of go back into your memory and kind of bring your awareness back there and start to, you know, dissect and deconstruct each moment if you remember it.
Yeah, to really learn from it and recognize it was the ego acting that way, and like you don't have to act that way.
Yeah, and
in the future.
Yeah, and you become a better version because of what was in your memory.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Exactly. There's so many other memories you can go into deeper, like, or they're like super egotistical, you know. Like I feel like working out, we were in a decent no self. Like it wasn't too egotistical. But if we were talking like trying to like be at a party, for example, you know, like that, like there was a lot of times when it was like primarily just the ego talking and dictating actions and everything. I feel like there was a really good diagram in this book that I'm starting to read, Master Keys to Union. But like they had those diagrams in the beginning.
You got it?
Yeah, I got the delivery. But there was a good diagram where it showed the ego as kind of like blinders almost, or like a filter, or glasses in a way, where like you just kind of, it filters the world, or labels everything with from past experiences, and it showed like how to get to more of like that no self, or like self-awareness, was to like bring the awareness back in instead of like through that ego. So like I feel like in the past those experiences, you know, were mainly just through this. But since we know now, I was going to, but then it seemed like, I don't know, I didn't want to come off like that type of guy at first. Again, then ego, I guess, huh? A little egoic construct. But
there's dozens of egos. I mean,
we talked about depending on where you are, there's a different ego. You have to kind of think in that certain way, depending on where you're at. So it's still like, it's a whole process trying to break that down and get away from that, I think. But I think we've gotten pretty far. Yeah,
and the whole key is kind of like, it's not even labeling thing. Like it's so crazy because you want to start to label it where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no real destination.
Yeah, there is no we that has progressed anywhere.
Dude,
yeah.
As much as you want to be proud of yourself and be like, I got it figured out, you know, I got to the next level, there's an infinite amount of like stuff you still have to
and that's creating another I that like has created progress.
Yeah, exactly. I like the way some people describe it as an unfoldment rather than you trying to get there. So like, or the way that even he says in the book too, is like you're unfolding what's already existent.
Yeah, that was a key thought too, or line, was that like no self is always there, but it's always like polluted by an ego or something. Like, so if you're not experiencing it, it's actually only because you're in ego or something's like
in some kind of illusion, thought process.
But it's actually always there, and we're always in it. Because we are always aware, but like you're not really aware you're aware, or you identify with that ego or something. You know, there's some mishap.
Yeah. Have you played with that, like being aware that you're aware? Because
so. That's kind of where we're getting to now, I guess. But that's
it's an interesting say, or like
how would you say
I started practicing it because he had a meditation. Brother Dominic had a meditation on YouTube, where it's like atmosphere of awareness and love. So that's where you practice being aware that you're aware. So you would start out with like playing with your awareness as putting on your feet, your hands, and then you bring it to the experience of being aware, or being aware that you're aware. And when I first did that, I remember it being just like nothing. I was like, nothing happened. And I remember my ego had a bunch of like things to label it, like nothing happened, I'm not aware that I'm aware, blah blah blah. And then when I took a moment to kind of just sit there and observe those thoughts, I realized I already was aware that I was aware. And so it went from like me being focused on more on the outside to when I became aware that I was aware, it kind of just went like it didn't feel like there was boundaries to who I was. So I was subtly everywhere, and past what I was seeing, past what I was feeling and hearing. And I kind of started to become this space between the sounds, like the space between what I see and the space between like shit. And so that it started, I don't know how to describe, but it kind of just started, I started feeling more grounded inside of myself. And then I just felt spaciousness, like more spacious. And then when you start to develop that space, you can kind of see more of the thoughts, the labels further away from you.
By just realizing you're aware.
Just aware.
Yeah. So that is a key. That is a line he's always said over and over, like to become aware, you're aware. But it's easier said than done, I guess. Like one time I had an experience where when I was reading the book, or Blueprints, the first book, and I had like, I definitely like feel like, yeah, because everything kind of just like, it was crazy. I definitely feel like I entered union for like a second, where I kind of realized everything was just occurring on its own already, and I was just like, my meat suit or body was just there in the moment. And I kind of like it's almost like this love and happiness feeling. Just like it was just crazy, but it only lasted a certain amount of time, because then the labeling machine started coming back, and I guess I don't know, I guess I identified that quickly with it. But I had like a brief moment,
a glimpse,
of just like this weird like joy and peace. But because I had it then, I feel like it could happen anytime, or it could happen all the time. But it's hard to get there sometimes. I guess there's always other emotions you're feeling or having to process and get rid of first, and then like you usually don't even reach that point, I feel like. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, I've always got to be reminded of that, or be reminded of the whole you're already in no self, because I totally forgot that was a thing. I always go right back into thinking that it's not there. I have to work my way back up to it, but it's just always there, and then just resting and relaxing in that.
Yeah.
It's when I have moments where I'm in that no self, I start to see how I try so hard to get there.
Yeah.
And then,
but there's nothing you have to do.
Yeah, it's so counterintuitive to not try.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it really is like a not trying, or like forcing over trying, or not identifying with those thoughts that come up. That's where that's when I kind of remember it's always there. Is when I start like getting really in, like my thoughts start racing, and I just realize I gotta slow it down and just let like no self come back. Kind of but it's sometimes hard in the moment, like in those pressured situations, or you feel like something's on the line, you don't have that time to kind of like, or you can't really just like let these thoughts go, like these thoughts are in the conversation that you're talking about maybe, and you got to think of the next thought that's going to come up. That's when I feel like no self is hard, because like you kind of have to pull from a memory of like past things to say almost in certain situations. But
I think more of like playing with energy that's present is key when it comes to conversations. Just knowing when to back off and when to say something. I think it just comes naturally, because when I have dumb crap to say, it just comes out naturally, where I'm just like, I have this funny thought in my head, and I just say it. And it works pretty well. I mean, there's no real filter behind what I was about to say. Just arises up within me.
It arose up,
because of the energies that were present already. So if there's no energy there, then I'm kind of just like, just walk away, back into the depths of the no self. Just chilling there. I mean,
that's good that you mentioned that. That how just the thought just arose like that, or that word. Because I feel like maybe that was an ego that I put myself in without thinking about it in that moment, where I would be like, oh, I need to think of something to say. Or I need to like.
That's a big one people have.
Or like I've been in the situation in the past, and I could get through it, but I gotta like pull that thought back, and then all of a sudden I can't pull anything because my memory's shit. It's like and then nothing happens.
Terrible magician. You wouldn't be able to pull out a rabbit from there.
Yeah, it's like One more
you
try.
You just pull a lint.
Yeah, inside out the hat. Like, there's nothing in there. But that's because I'm thinking there's something I have to do. But there's nothing I have to do. So I let it arise and feel the energy like you're talking about. That's literally, yeah, it's crazy. And I didn't even realize that in the moment. I thought I was in like the no self in that moment, but
yeah,
these sneaky blinders, they just come up and yeah.
Yeah, I see myself too when I'm in conversation, wanting to, like that whole contract of trying hard sometimes pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I've been working through that. But it's very key and vital to not try when it comes to making decisions or trying to say something, the next thing in a conversation or
Yeah.
stuff like that. But how do you? And let's talk a little bit about college, because like, what do you think? Do you think there's a big ego around, a big construct in society around going to college, and like how did the thoughts around and the actions around that were with the people around you? So how were the thoughts and the actions with the people around you affected and shaped your decision around, going to college?
Yeah, it was definitely ego based, especially in the beginning. It was all like images in my head that maybe even other people had originally implanted there that like I felt like I had to uphold. Even still do feel like I have to like uphold these self images or fulfill that to get that self image or to be able to say I've done that.
Yeah.
Like that get that diploma, But no, especially like going to college and like I remember the first like it was almost like a crazy wake up call, reality check, because I drove all the way up to Santa Cruz to go to college for the first time with my family, and I hadn't actually. I've only visited the campus one time before accepting. Never even got out of the car. So I'm going to school like hours away at a school I've never even visited at, and that's when I realized it was just like all images I was trying to uphold in my head, and now like reality. I'm living this now. I'm having to live in this, live this out, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was like, what the hell? Like I'm middle of nowhere, trying to get this,
So what that like seems like is, especially with a lot of people, I think when I see this too, is like their parents try to force their passion and their dreams for their children onto them, which actually you can like. I remember even my dad and stuff, like he was very passionate about me doing certain things, and I could feel his energy, just like very passionate.
Yeah.
And then it went into me. I was like, dang, like maybe I should do this. So that's what encouragement is. I mean, it's not a good thing or bad thing. You don't really see it at that lens, but it's usually just them. And I think parents or people around you need to give you space in order to feel out the decision, because you're in a high pressure situation in which your parents had a vision for you and a plan for you to get your diploma. Wherever that came from, that motive of you wanting to get your diploma or them wanting you to get your diploma, whether it was actually love and passion or whatnot, who knows? But it kind of seemed like it put you in a position where you were not in the right place or headspace to do so. Like, is that?
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, like I have to trust that they want, or it's more my mom guiding me through this in the moment. My dad couldn't have give less of a shit about this whole college thing, but I was definitely feeling like that image that I had to uphold from my mom, and feeling that pressure, and also just living like people kept telling me, oh, you have time to figure out like what you want, and so like I never even like would put the effort. If I had the opportunity, I wouldn't even like put the effort into thinking about it. Didn't really have the want to go to college or have the motivation to do it, and so.
But when you're in college, how was it? I mean, how was it like then? Like, did it put you more in your ego headspace? Was it freeing? Did it expand you? What are some things that you grew in when you came there?
Yeah, and I mean,
or what are some things that made you grow, and what things that made you kind of lessen?
I think it does depend on who you're around, I guess. If I was putting myself around people like some people who like didn't want to put a high pressure, or I feel like they didn't want me to feel like pressured or anything, but like when like you're in like a sesh or something. But maybe I'd be session with some guy or something, and he would then all of a sudden I'd feel like I have to act a certain way or something, and that would obviously throw me into my ego, or I'm feeling like a certain pressure. I mean, I can't say no. I have to, do this a certain way. Like But then there are other moments where like I would, with people who I could relate to, I guess. Like there was another chick who'd come up there, also didn't want to be there now, realizing. And so I was able to kind of like definitely have open conversations, and in those moments it doesn't seem like it's the ego that much taking over. Even
you genuinely expressing yourself.
Yeah, it was more for like the venting and such. Yeah, so I feel like those situations were better. Yeah, around that was interesting. I would be FaceTiming a lot of people from like back home during that first year, and I feel like that kind of probably kept those like old constructs still alive in my head, old habits and whatnot, that maybe I would have just let go of if I lost contact. But staying in contact with different people kept promoting different like egos I had to uphold.
Dude, yes. So I think it's so interesting too. Like me myself, I remember, I mean, just in general, I remember just even following certain people on Instagram and things like that, bring up enliven some certain thought patterns within my brain. Like, I have people I follow who I don't even care about, and that are like on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So when I see them, it's like, I mean, they're there, and it brings up certain thoughts around, people not caring or things like that. So it's like, why do I have people I don't value or something like that on my page that I probably wouldn't even link up with, stuff like that. I mean, even when you go on social media, there's a whole it doubles the illusion, I think.
It does. But yeah, it can throw you into like other ones like from the past maybe.
Yeah. And so like even having those connections on social media too, I've seen how it definitely affects me, whether I like it or not. And so, when I'm first starting out, at least for now, it's like going into the no self and stuff. I find it beneficial to unfollow or disconnect from certain people, just because I want to go into that no self. Like I want to see what's blocking me from it, because I don't have the perspective to, because of all the old stuff that's in my way. So like trying to frame something new, I've been trying to incorporate into my life, like, or just allow myself to see.
Yeah, I think it's also important that I don't get too used to like, because I've also been unfollowing like certain things that throw me into negative thought patterns and stuff, and all of a sudden I find I'm not in the no self. But something that I even might be noticing myself is a side effect of that is like if that person, like you see them in real life, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I've been like, or that same type of person that invokes that energy in you, or like that past, like, or whatever you don't like, you're saying that like kind of brings you into a self.
Yeah.
I feel like it might make it harder like seeing them in real life if you've been kind of like conditioned to like, get rid of it if you can.
It's not. I'm not sure if I've seen any of those people that I've unfollowed or not. But real talk is like, our connection was never genuine in the first place.
Yeah.
And so when I see you in real life, it's like, dude, we're not even like that close with each other to where, cool, I follow you, but what does that mean? It's meaningless.
Yeah, if anything, that would like maybe throw you into more of like a egoic response, like, oh, maybe I should say something to him because he recognized me from Instagram. Like I should say something.
Yeah, that's kind of celebrity fan mindset where you're just like, you see somebody, oh, it's that person. Kind of like how you see celebrities, like, oh, is that I don't know, Michael Jordan or something? Yeah. And you try to go up to him, talk to him. That's the whole construct that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's people, cool. I'll be present with people. Like if that person came up to me and it's genuine, stuff like that. I'm in this space, in the no self space, where it's like, cool, I'm open to things happening, but I mean, you don't have to force anything or any interactions.
Yeah.
Anything like that. I mean, there's no room for that in the no self. There's no pressure. There's no self to really be. But I see what you mean by the reaction though, where it's like, you kind of do have to deal with the reaction of like hate or envy, that comes up when you're just like, oh, this person didn't talk to me anymore. Like, screw them.
Yeah.
Because when you see them in real life, that might come up, and then you have to deal with that. It's not dealing with them. It's dealing with that thought in you.
Exactly.
And so when you begin to deal with that in you, and it gives you more of a sovereign choice to actually choose the person and actually love the person. And I'll follow them back if it's like they're cool.
Yeah.
And we can actually start something again, but it's not a big deal about unfollow, follow.
For sure.
It's just
Yeah.
It's just social media. Like, no one. Social media isn't that serious. You know, people are just trying to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want attention. Like, I want something meaningful. I mean, that's why I'm even making this. It's like something meaningful and not egoic. It's genuine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those thoughts you're talking. Yeah, it's I've definitely noticed that seeing those people who I could care less to follow on Instagram, like in person, and kind of that's when I guess I didn't notice the ego would kind of give me that pressure, like, oh, I need to like say something or whatnot. I would usually take the no self approach and not do anything, not go out of my own way to not waste energy, but like, that's sometimes that lead to an unfollow from them, but it's like so whatever, I could care less.
Dude,
So I feel like they were trying to make it seem like it's more than it is, like an unfollow or something. Those type of people, they were like they don't want to see what I want to do in the future or something.
Okay, what value do they? This is the kind of question I ask. Like, what value do they bring to my life?
Yeah, that's true.
If I'm gonna go up to you and just be like, I can be nice and friendly, it's cool, but it's like anybody can be nice and friendly, but underneath the surface, there's a bunch of not nice and friendly or whatever.
Right.
So it's more of just like whether the person's willing to receive you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you kind of want to look for when it comes to those interactions. Like, if they unfollowed me, like, dude, you weren't ready to receive me as a person. I wasn't ready to receive you. Vice versa. Like, it could be either way.
Yeah.
So It wasn't the right timings. Go ahead and follow me. It's like, I got, it's like, for me, it's like meditation. I've grown a love for meditation to where it's okay if I'm by myself. It's okay if everybody, whatever happens around me, the drama, whatever, the unfollowing, the hate, the love, it doesn't matter what happens. It's just, it comes and goes. And meditation just helped me just be in this headspace where it's just like, all right, just in acceptance. Like, all right, that's just part of it, man. Just keep going deeper in meditation, dealing with my own hate and envy instead of focusing on how they unfollow me. That's probably active hate, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I like that.
So that's what going within is about.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Let's sit with that for a second. For me now it's just catching the ego when it's sneaky like that. Like sometimes it comes up when you don't even realize it.
Little rat.
It really is, a little snake. Just
snake in the grass.
All of a sudden, just feeding these little thoughts into your head or these certain feelings and beliefs and whatnot that from the past, but just gotta not identify with them. Easier said than done, though.
Yeah, man, it's a whole journey. I mean,
it's crazy.
How long have you been doing it consistently?
Yeah, I've been trying. Yeah.
Like, what's been? Is it every day? Every 3 days a week? 2 days a week? Once a week? Once every 2 weeks?
It's been about. I've been trying to do like these like meditations at night, just in falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll actually usually happen. Now at first it took like a few, like maybe 3 times a week, but now it's more because it actually does help you like kind of relax and get to that atmosphere. Or for me, it just helps me sleep in general. But it's just incorporating that more, I think, because right now, I try to even do it like course correct in the moment. I kind of fall like just like not feel like those negative emotions, any anxiety, don't get those outside thoughts, or not like completely reject them, like notice they're there, but then just like whatever. Like,
let go.
Yeah. So I've been trying to course correct like during the day, as well.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah, because I wanted to just be like the default, but I think I want to try doing the meditations in the morning also, which is also hard because you're like so groggy. It's like, or you don't hear your alarm, or you want to. For me, a habit just going on my phone in the morning, So I think it would also help break the habits too. Like, that's just a bunch of wasting time. That's something I've been having to deal with. Just like this kind of autopilot wasting time, or like just giving into urges or whatnot. Like, oh, I want to hit this, or I want to just scroll. I want to
hit this.
Yeah, whatever that means. But So, but just kind of disidentifying from those, I think, has been my thing recently.
Yeah.
Or even like the time wasters. Because then when I'm trying to be productive, sometimes I get that thought loop of, oh, well, then that's kind of like creating a self that you're trying to bring up there and progress. But I think that's just a negative thought in itself that I got to get past.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta, personally, there's some masks that you hate wearing, but you kind of have to.
Yeah.
So I find that hard, where it's like I have a negative reaction to some masks that I wear. But it's like you have to show up in that way in order to, because it's a greed society thing. Once I'm away from people, that's kind of like, phew, like I can finally take off that dumb mask. Like, would it be at work, having to do something I don't want to do?
Yeah.
And then going home and just relaxing.
Or relaxing to however much you can relax.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that is, because I definitely do feel the difference. And it's interesting, like, just as I'm getting ready for work, I feel like these anxieties coming up from down in, like, my stomach and stuff. Like, I can't really eat before going to work.
Yeah.
Or, like, my appetite's super suppressed. I even, like, when I was, like, really super expressive about it, one time, a few months ago, my sister was like, why are you so nervous? Like, don't you do this job every day? And exactly, like, I do this same job every day. I don't know why every single time I go in, it's like, all of a sudden I start feeling this shift in, like, how I'm gonna, maybe my frequency or something. Like, all of a sudden I'm feeling like, or maybe that, like you said, that mask I gotta put on is just starting to, like, slowly come on. Because there was a mask I definitely put on at work, where I said, like, had every coworker, like, I kind of, like, give some a different, reaction than others.
Yeah.
So that's totally just a mask that's, like, I gotta deal with. But it's just interesting, I could feel it coming up. Like,
I've noticed you gotten better, though, because of it. Or by meditating, so.
Yeah, it's like, now in the moment, like, I guess I can course correct a lot easier. I still get that feeling before going into work, and maybe it's just because, like, any other nervous situation, like, I gotta prepare, I have to, like, kind of get dressed and just shift in headspace, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the meditation has definitely helped in those difficult situations. Remembering how you feel in the meditation and, like, kind of carrying that over.
And seeing, like, it's cool because, like, when you go into the world and you're in that meditative state, you can kind of see just the energies in front. You can intuitively, like, sense the energies around you.
Very much,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if you notice this when you go to work, but when I'm at work and then it gets busy, a bunch of people are in, then I go from, like, I'm in my heart or I'm in the no self, to where a bunch of energies from those people pick up, and then it makes me clouded in my judgment. I can't really think that much.
Yeah.
And then I'm in my headspace more, so I'm more of like
maybe that's what's
remember
happening.
the diagrams in the book Master Keys Union, where it's like more in the headspace, and at the end it's like the goal is to go into the heart.
Yeah.
So sometimes my awareness will be in my heart. As soon as, like, a bunch of people come in, zoop, right back into my head. Sometimes the ego goes right back on.
Yeah, while you're in your head, it's like, yeah, it's just bad.
So yeah, sometimes I'd be very clear in my awareness, and people come in, I put right back on that mask, and then get home. It's like my objective is just like unwind and take off the mask, and then.
Yeah, because I've definitely noticed, like, throughout the workday, sometimes it kind of gets worse. Like, it gets harder to disidentify and stay out of that headspace, just from, like, being later in the day, and just maybe your willpower is going down over time. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely notice the different energies and like, kind of that build up, I guess, like when there's a bunch of people around and everything's busy. But I could definitely feel the way different people act, and, like, I guess their energy they give off, like when they were coming into the aisle or something, when they come and talk to me or whatnot. So yeah, I guess it's just, make sure when you're in that meditative neutral kind of sense, it makes it seem like they're all kind of acting faster almost. Like they're thinking really fast and everything. I'm kind of just, like, still like this. Or still.
Yeah, I've had that too. Like, when I've interacted with people, especially at work, their mind would be going so fast, and then they're thinking that I'm doing something wrong, or whatnot. Like they'll think I'm doing the job wrong, and then I'm just like, no, look, and then just calmly show them I'm doing it right or something.
Yeah.
And then it's crazy because I'm not even reacting. It's not like I'm reacting to them. It's more just like they're frantic. I could see their frantic mind.
Yeah, and you're not reacting.
I can sovereignly act. As
well said.
So then I can easily just say what I need to say, and then get back to what I was doing.
Yeah. For me, that's the key I need to work on in, like, any situation or any conversation like that, because
same here. It's an art, dude.
Yeah, that's really where I feel the other person's like energy is in that conversation. So that's kind of my issue. Sometimes I feel that too much, and then all of a sudden I start like feeding into that myself, like without even realizing. Like,
Dude, yeah.
Or maybe I start getting a little annoyed with them, and it's like, yeah, it's I lose that neutrality sometimes. But it's all from that first stupid interaction with them.
Dude, yeah.
But
that's crazy how even I get sucked into to some people's energies.
Yeah, for sure. It's just,
yeah.
Maybe that's also part of the consequence of being easier to sense other people. But we still learn to not react sovereignly, like you said.
Yeah, I think it's fun, to be honest, because then
yeah,
you just feel like a little kid, just like you kind of knows a little secret, and you're just like oh, like,
I can see that.
Because I mean, it makes interactions more fun because then you, like I said, it's like an art or like a play that's happening.
Yeah.
And then one person comes out at the end, you know, or both come out at the end with what they want, or
ideally, yeah.
It's fun. But when you see yourself lose, it's also, you have to be okay with that too. Like in certain situations where even a small interaction where you walk away with awkwardness and you're just like, oh god.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I hate. Yeah, it's how like.
Just don't feel the best.
Yeah, I don't like those, but I mean, I know it's part of like starting to become more neutral. Just like, oh, okay, awkwardness is cool.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm letting go of it, but.
That's something I need to just. That I'm trying to work on is keeping that. Or not. I think I kind of forgot what I wanted to say, but like it was more along the lines like how I keep going into the ego without thinking, or
yeah, it depends on each, because even for me personally, when I even say like I'm because I need to work on that too. When I see it and I'm dealing with it's different with each person.
Yeah,
it's like it's not something to work on. It's like I don't know how to describe it. I mean, do you notice it? I mean, have you gone to the point where you see it different with each person, or is it?
I definitely notice how I interact with each person differently, for sure. I've kind of always noticed that, but yeah, I've definitely noticed that, like how it's
very different. It's weird.
Different mask in a way. And that kind of reminded me of what I wanted to say was like, even though we've been practicing this for a while, of like how to not see through these masks, sometimes it just happens. Like it just like that's what I'm realizing now is this whole past week at work, I guess I've been kind of complacent in that. Like I've been maybe just lazily letting the ego kind of like, I just fall into these masks, different masks all the time without really catching myself like I need to, or falling out, like realizing that no self again. I kind of just forget that's even an option sometimes, or I do, but it's like I just stay and like keep humoring this ego, like for the sake of the conversation or whatnot. I don't know, but yeah, it's something I'm still that's the most difficult thing because it's different with everyone. So sometimes you settle it with one person. Like for me,
there's a bunch of other people, and it's fucking.
You gotta start again. Like get rid of that mask, and I feel like that was where like when you work on self-improvement or like maybe get like a mentorship or something, maybe you're kind of like making all your masks just better. So like when you do have to fall into that situation, your mask is just already like confident. It's already like, it's better than how it would have been if you didn't have the mentoring. Or if you're, and since you're not in no self, it's kind of like it's still beneficial.
Yeah.
Had to fall into that.
Yeah, because part of it too, especially with self-help, is the kind of material view with it. I think a lot of the material view is people's motive. So they're trying to get to a certain lifestyle on the outside by improving themselves. So they'll feed energy into their mass, like I gotta be more confident, more this. And the end is materialism, gaining all this kind of stuff on the outside. Which, I mean, some of them are partial. So it's like, some of it's getting what they want on the outside. Some of it is actually for the self-development. So there's different stages, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, some people are more mature, spiritually mature, I'll say, where they don't really care about the outside stuff. Doesn't matter at all. But they somehow acquire a bunch of wealth because of their inner mind. Because I've noticed like when you meditate, it's almost like investing. Because you're creating a feedback loop inside of yourself to return back to awareness, which is infinite. So it's like you're getting a sense of infinity and stuff.
Yeah.
So it just depends on each person in the self-help industry, who you're following, because they'll try to sell you on material stuff, their lifestyle and how much it improved on the outside.
Yeah.
And improved because they fed into an ego of self-confidence or ego of intelligence. And in the no-self, you're not even trying to become a self-confident person, an intelligent person. You're just not even, you're, like I said, you're unfolding, I guess, enlightenment from yourself. You're unfolding enlightenment from yourself. So that requires being in touch with the presence of God and getting to know his presence and allowing his presence to completely take over your being. And so
yeah, I feel like that's where a lot of people like maybe fall short. Like they try to force that feeling or like try to see God, but like through doing things. But it's crazy because like we've heard that, or I've heard it throughout my life in the Bible growing up. Like it was like, oh, like you don't have to do anything. Like God's already around you. Like, but like doing no self, it's literally that same wording. Like you don't have to do anything. Like you just kind of fall into it. And whenever you are trying to force things, that's actually like stopping that experience from happening, or think things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. That was even told to us like in the Bible, like that. Like, you don't have to do anything, right? Yeah, you don't have to do anything to accept God's love. Like maybe that's what they meant. Like you don't have, like it's unconditional. Like so you literally aren't doing anything, or just the fact you don't have to do anything to earn it. I think is that. But
yeah, that's what grace is, like receiving something you don't deserve. You read it 56 minutes. Okay,
it's pretty good.
But something you told me really interesting too. Maybe we can end after this. But I remember when he talked about how when you would pray, I really gotta go pee. But we talked about how when you go pray and stuff, you would feel in your headspace almost like you coming out of your body. You kind of want to describe that, how those times when you try to do that?
I'm trying to even like, what was more the context when we were talking about that?
I think we're also talking about binaural beats too, and
maybe
binaural beats, because you listened to it too and you felt yourself almost coming out of your body. And we were with Connor, and then we talked about it a little bit there, but you also told me before that.
Yeah, because I've definitely never had like that full out of body experience yet. That's something I still want to have to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was definitely it was a pretty close feeling, or like expanded awareness for sure. Like we talked about earlier, that might have been it. More like when I talking about when I was praying. Yeah. I feel like that happens when I'm at night, because I try to reach that no self first before entering the praying state.
Yeah.
Or before talking to God, because I don't want to be like talking to God, asking through these lenses or anything.
False centers, yeah.
I definitely did that in the past for sure without thinking about it. And that's probably some things never happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I could say I've had that full out of body experience, but like I remember in the past, so you kind of feel like your body's vibrating at a different frequency. Still peaceful, but it's like you're kind of like it's hard to like describe that feeling, like hard to put it into words.
Yeah,
but
expanded awareness is a good one, because when you start to expand your awareness, you go out of body. I've seen myself expand so much where I just out of my body. It goes almost like it's going like that, and then shoom, and then it's completely out. And it didn't feel like a violent thing. Sometimes it is violent. But I mean, I like what you said right there, where it's just like expanded awareness. So that's very simply put, like what that is.
Thanks. Yeah, I try to keep it simple. Because I wish I wish I was in that same headspace or remembered exactly what I told you in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think I basically like talked about it. Or did I get to what I was talking about?
Yeah.
About that? Okay. But
I found that pretty cool though. I mean, not a lot of people can get to that state when they pray. So the fact that you're trying to purify yourself in order to actually pray is something very powerful and selfless.
Yeah, it's during those times like you get a lot of like, you can think really hard, like the thoughts get really intense like when you're in that state, I think. And definitely in the past I'd feel certain like anxieties like in my arm and stuff, like where it feels like the need to have to flex.
Yeah.
And I've actually been unfortunately born or cursed with that. Like when I'm trying to sleep, I'll get this like muscle anxiety where I need to like flex my muscles, or like it feels like I need to just like get out of bed and like punch or something. Like my arms like feel like they're gonna like explode unless I do something like flex.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I get that sort of muscle anxiety when I would pray though. When all of a sudden I'd be really asking for these heartfelt things, and all of a sudden it's like maybe that's like my inner ego or demon trying to take me out of that state. That's like all of a sudden I'm feeling this, my arm's like about to like it's such an uncomfortable feeling that like it's almost like your bones are like gonna like have to go, like you're just like you gotta just keep flexing.
You know, it might be too, like, because I just started learning about this stuff too with the spine. But yeah, like this area right here, if it's tight or it's not correctly, the nerves here aren't correctly placed. I think it's around here, around this area. I don't know if this is the thoracic area or the, I freaking forgot the names.
Like a little lumbar, like.
Lumbar's the bottom, dude. Fuck, but up here, somewhere up here, that's connected to your arms. So if this shit is tight, then you're gonna have like your arms, the way they fire and stuff is gonna be pretty bad. But either way, when you pray, meditate, you're activating your nervous system. You're activating parts of your body still.
Yeah.
And so maybe that triggered.
I think that was that feeling. Yeah. That was, maybe it is, because I mean, yeah, that it happens like even almost last night. I think it happened like that feeling. It's like almost need to explode, kind of. So you kind of lay on. I usually lay on my side to like remedy it. But I think that was that most like out of body experience I was talking about, because it gets to that point where it's so almost like painful, but it's like just that need to just tense up every muscle. But it's like it just gets so much to that point where it's like I just want to just like freaking go, because the only way to remedy it is for me to like almost like just sit up in bed. Like I usually say amen, I'm out of bed like fuck, that hurt like a bitch. I'm like, what the hell? like damn. And then I usually get some remedy and then I can go back to bed. It's like but it's like even because I know I'm born with it, like because my dad has this
the same thing,
this disorder, and he's talked about his friends who've had this disorder in their legs, where they like feel like they need to like flex their legs like extremely. And then some people just get up and walk, like go on a walk in the middle of the night to alleviate the stress. But it's like it's just some sort of like, I thought it was maybe when I didn't work out and I had this unkept energy in me. But sometimes even when I work out I get it. But
dude, I'm sorry, I really gotta go pee. I'm fucking gonna go over there or something.
Okay.
We can wrap it up. All right.
Or I'll talk to the mic.
Yeah, you fucking talk to, dude. I'm about to piss my pants.
This guy. Okay, so.
Make sure I'm not on the camera, because I'm about to the side.
Okay. So yeah, you guys already know it's about to go down. I don't know if it's gonna actually stay in the final cut of this video, but yeah. If you're still watching to this point, thank you for watching. Appreciate it a lot. I stream Moochie Moochers on Twitch, but yeah, it's hopefully you guys got kind of the gist of what we've been talking about, like the trying to cultivate this no self. And so you guys can see, it's like it's really hard to stay in it sometimes. Like you'll just, because then a lot of times like you don't have to think anything, you kind of just sit back and just let the seeing happen on its own, because seeing, you know, occurs without having to actually do anything. So you kind of just notice you're seeing, notice these things are happening on their own. But it's hand sanitizer. It's easier said than done, but it's very beneficial.
Dude, could you have seen me over there?
No, not anything explicit. I couldn't even see any. I wasn't. Yeah, I think you're out of the view. But yeah, just trying to stay in that no self, or not even trying to, because there's nothing to do, but it's always there. It's also that don't listen to these like to past egoic like constructs you have, maybe about like meditation or something. It's like, oh, that's like hippie shit, or I'm not gonna do anything, nothing's gonna happen, I'm just gonna be doing this. Like those are just thoughts that like kind of I still have to deal with too, or like I think I could be doing something more productive when meditating is, like you said, it's investing. Like it is a very productive thing to be doing, and you get that feeling of intense relaxation after you just worked your ass off in the gym. And who doesn't want that? But your ego will play these thoughts in your head, like, oh, video games, oh, food.
It's cool how when you first started out, though, you got the feeling of relaxation.
Yeah.
Because some people, when they start out, they're just like in their head thinking like, am I doing this right? I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And then they have this kind of thoughts. So even if you don't have a good day of meditation, you're just like overthinking, you actually did grow a little bit. So.
Yeah, not expecting anything to happen as well. It's another. Just any time you kind of like become aware or self-aware like that of these thoughts, and kind of helps you self-grow. And at least in my opinion, because you realize they're just thoughts. And kind of, or at least I process through those thoughts and emotions. That's kind of what meditating helps you do. Just get past those and move on.
Yes. Starts to deal with your needy, clingy behaviors, because the ego clings to certain identities, certain people, things like that.
Oh yeah.
You drop your need to get things because you believe that God is gonna take care of your needs. It's a whole shift. I mean, we live in the West where it's like you have to go out and get the thing yourself. And then the meditation is completely the opposite, where things will start to unfold from you. So somebody who's like working a job, I'll keep this short, but
you're all good.
But like, two people can be doing the same thing, right? They're going to a job or something, they're working. One person's in the no self, the other person isn't. The person who's in the ego is gonna be thinking that they're the one that's making the money, they're the one that's earning all this stuff, which is true in a sense. But when the other person who's in the no self will see it as, you know, the body is moving through the workspace on its own. Certain thoughts are coming and going on their own. You know, them picking up the boxes or whatever is occurring on its own. The body's doing it by itself. There's no one really doing it. And so you're just observing yourself the entire time rather than identifying as a person who is going to work and making the money, all this kind of stuff. So then once you start to disidentify from yourself, you then start to see your workplace as a whole. Like, you become that workplace. You can even start to sense some things that are going on with the company or people around you, your coworkers, things like that. Like how we're talking about, you know, him working at his job. You can sense some of what his coworkers are feeling, because you become greater than just the body, just the ego is just doing the thing.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like my ego is giving me this thought that I need to move on from my job, which is like, it makes it harder to work. Like, it takes away from that union you're feeling with your job, like you're talking about, how it makes it like working a lot easier. But it seems like a healthy egoic thought almost, because it's like, I don't want to be working or stuck here. Yeah. Because if I don't want to be.
Also too, like, I just got done with the fast.
Yeah.
Probably like a couple months. I don't even know what day of the week it is. Oh, it's Thursday or something. Yeah. Probably like a week ago or something. And so we talked about it a little bit, but like, just to reiterate it, when I came back home, I was just seeing how low, like, I guess low vibrational. How do I describe it in a way that's not like spiritual? I was just seeing the hindrances or the blockages that were happening within my mindset because of me being in certain environments. Because like how we talked about, you become the room. Yeah. When I came back to my house and I was fasting and in the nature and stuff, nature really resets your mind. And also fasting. Those two combined are kick ass, I'd say.
Your favorite party drugs?
Yeah, my favorite drugs. But I got back at home and I realized how, when my consciousness was tied into the energy of my house, it's very low. It lowered me a lot. I went to work again, and then I went to work the next day. I was just so clear, and I could see just the people and the everything, and how I was just bringing my consciousness from this higher state, which I just come from because of meditation and fasting. Yeah. And it just went right back down. So I tied myself right back into the company, and then just.
And from being at home, you also kind of tie yourself back into being at home.
And then the same ego thoughts came back.
Yeah. I definitely felt that. Or I felt that, like, when you're at another place, like when I was in college and I came back to being home, maybe my freedom from being up north, like I guess I had that frequency you're talking about, and I came back in and had to like I had to like fall back in line, and like I saw how everyone else was acting, and I kind of had to like, I felt that kind of like slowness, like everything was slower, and I was already like talking like this and everything. But then, like, now it's been a year and more in this quarantine, I've definitely brought myself even below where they were. Where I'm just like, you know, it's hard to, like, even sometimes spend the time in a day. You're like, what do I do? It's like, I've literally just, but it is that environment you're talking about. And not even throwing shade or anything, but just, like.
It's just how it is.
Yeah,
it's not like you're judging it because it's a bad thing. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything personal or anything. Those things have happened because of, like, egoic, like, mishaps in the past, like. Have led to these low frequencies, and that's we're kind of where we're both at, where we need to like find a a place where we can, because you waste a lot of time when you're just in these low frequency areas, or you're not like, you're in a negative ego, you're not growing. Like, these are hours of the day where you could be like doing stuff, you know. And we're in a job, you see how like hours of a day you could do so much, and it's a lot of waste of time.
Yeah.
Because when we would have these like productive things, or I'd like maybe meet with a mentor, like after like just that 1 hour, all of a sudden you're moving, like you feel great, and then that's all it took in an hour. Like, imagine if you're living in that space of like good energy and like everything, you'd be like, growing a lot.
Growth will grow so much.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you hit so many walls when it comes to, at the end of the day, you can't, it's not you that gets somebody out of their ego, it's a moment of grace that happens within that person, which can happen through you. But at the end of the day, it just happens because God gave them that grace to see in the moment beyond themselves. And me coming back down isn't because I did meditate and I did fast, but it wasn't because I meditated and fasted. It's because, like, just how the Spirit led Christ into the wilderness, it's like, so was I led into these certain things. If it wasn't for Christ or God, or like, I wouldn't be led to raise my frequency, what people call frequency, or raise my level of consciousness to a higher place. So it's not because I didn't, because like I said, like the ego person who's working versus the one who's in the no self, it takes grace to see the situation in a different light. So I didn't really change my perspective. It was just God somehow led me to that place, and it's encouraged me to keep being in that place so I can see things for what they are. And
I like that. That work comparison really clicked right there. And I feel like, because we are practicing this no self atmosphere, so technically I feel like on paper, when we're in a negative environment, we shouldn't get affected by those negative energies and lower frequencies and whatnot. But it seems like we're almost like more impressionable because there's no like us, we're like holding up the, it seems like these negative lower frequencies are like maybe affecting us more, because like, they shouldn't.
That's something I struggle with too. Because when I get in negative environments like that, it is easy for me to, because what's happening in those negative environments is that these people are sucking in, they're holding in their traumas, their negative energies, and they're continuing to do it to themselves, like harmful stuff. So it leads to very bad mental health, very bad finances, very bad everything. So you start to implode on yourself. So when you're in the no self, you go into the atmosphere, you're feeling all that pain that they're going through. Yeah. So when I step away from it, I'll be honest, sometimes I've gone outside of my house or my workplace and just cried because of how much pain they're going through. So I had a lens of compassion. I mean, I've developed, compassion is like a muscle you start to develop too. Because before, it's easy to just be like, screw these people, they're lowering my vibration. But as soon as you shift out of that, leave work or leave home, you can kind of sit there and be like, damn, they're really hurting. And then it's kind of something I cry over it. It's just, and then I'm in that too. But then it makes, sometimes when I'm in it for a long time, I almost identify with it and just be like, oh, I have mental problems. I have this, something wrong with me. Yeah. And then it is real. Like, I get in there, I feel like I have mental problems a lot. And I get out and I'm totally peaceful. And then go back in there for a certain amount of period. It's like, dude. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how to necessarily be in that and then change it, the atmosphere. But I can definitely be in it, step out of it, process through it, let go of the energy. But then I have to go back to it, and then it's just this constant cycle of like
having to get back from it.
I wouldn't necessarily know how to change it. But at the end of the day, I know that I can't really change that many people. It's up to, they have to have a moment of grace to really realize.
Yeah, because you could even have a moment where like you completely don't have any of these like egoic thoughts holding you back, and you like have a super tough conversation, or like you just like say everything needs to be said. But if they don't have that grace or anything to like accept that could be completely useless. Like, you can't change the situation. So I think that's why being in a negative environment sucks, because we can keep disidentifying from it, but for only so long, and eventually it kind of just pushes you back. But yeah, I think that was good. I think we.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, good
Hour
session.
14, man.
Hour 14. Well, if you guys are still here, thank you for watching. Is that Are we gonna wrap it up or what?
Yeah, that's our outro right there. Thank you for watching.
Let's know if you have any questions in the comments down
Let
below.
us down below, and then
Should we do another one of these?
yeah, let us know some topics that we should do.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, if you have any questions, leave them, and we could probably cover them on the next one too. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Any last words?
I think we covered it. I mean, I would say I give everything we said a try, and the podcast and everything will get better from here. So
yeah, it's only up from here.
Yeah, ideally.
All right.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Peace, guys.